I have thus started the recording after vigorous preparation. Hello, my mushrooms! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my cozy corner of the internet where I aim to spread autism awareness and hope through my story. In case you didn't know, autistic people can also be extroverted. Before I discovered I was autistic, I would never have thought that autism and extroversion ever overlapped. I knew very little of autism back then, and very little of myself as a result. What's interesting about the overlap between autism and extroversion is that an autistic extrovert can go their entire life without realizing that they're either. In this video, we'll briefly discuss introversion and extroversion, then dive into what an autistic extrovert can look like through the lens of color personality. A lot of people don't believe autistic people can be extroverted because they either don't understand autism or they don't actually really know what extroversion means. Or both. If you fall into the former category, please check out my What is Autism playlist linked right here. If you fall into the latter category, or you just want to watch the rest of this video, let's quickly define extroversion and introversion. Which category you fall into is based on what drains you and how you recharge. Introverts are drained by social interaction and recharge with solitude and quiet. They often prefer deep, one-on-one connections and thoughtful reflection. Extroverts, on the other hand, are drained by solitude and energized by social interaction and external stimulation. They thrive in group environments and think out loud. However, it's not always that black and white. I know. It's sad. I would love it if people just fit into little tiny categories. It would be so nice, so organized. But people are complex. Most people actually fall somewhere in between. Ambiverts. Because whether or not they act more extroverted or introverted depends on several other factors, like their mood, or who they're around, etc. For example, an introvert may act more like an extrovert around their close friends, but need alone time afterwards to recharge. Or an extrovert may act more like an introvert when they're around toxic people. Or an autistic extrovert may learn to act more introverted as their autistic traits are continuously rejected. Thought I had a burp, but then it didn't come. Rude. Phantom burp. Hate those. That's why we need to talk about the overlap between extroversion and autism, because autistic people, especially late-diagnosed autistic people, have often been masking for so long that their mask has become their identity. The process of unmasking can lead them to discover aspects of themselves that have long been buried, like, for example, their extroversion. My journey to discovering my extroversion started when my husband and I joined a young married couples group at our church. At the time, they were going through the book I Said This, You Heard That by Kathleen Edelman, which aims to improve relationships by understanding the differences in how your innate temperament affects your communication style and how others perceive you. It uses a framework based on color personality, which is directly based on the 4 temperaments. While I don't believe this personality test is the most enlightening or accurate out there, color personality did help me understand aspects of myself that I didn't before. If you're interested in taking the test for yourself, you can click here. There are 4 types, as previously mentioned, which simplify the 4 temperaments into 4 colors. Red for choleric, yellow for sanguine, green for phlegmatic, and blue for melancholic. Let's break down each of these types. Number 1. Red, the director. Red personalities are bold, decisive, and driven by results. They thrive in fast-paced environments, naturally stepping into leadership roles where action and competition are rewarded. Task-focused and confident, Reds prefer clear goals and quick progress, often measuring success by outcomes rather than emotions. Their energy and determination make them strong initiators and motivators when decisive action is needed. Number 2. Yellow, the visionary. Yellow personalities are optimistic, creative, and highly expressive. They are energized by new ideas, social interaction, and possibilities, often inspiring others through enthusiasm and imagination. Yellows enjoy brainstorming, storytelling, and bringing positive momentum to groups. Their natural curiosity and upbeat outlook make them effective communicators who energize teams and encourage innovation. Number 3. Green, the diplomat. Green personalities value harmony, empathy, and stable relationships. They are patient listeners who seek balance and cooperation, often acting as mediators or trusted supporters within a group. Relationship-oriented and compassionate, greens are motivated by fairness and emotional connection, creating environments where people feel understood and valued. Number 4. Blue, the analyst. Blue personalities are calm, analytical, and detail-oriented. They approach situations methodically, prioritizing logic, accuracy, and depth of understanding. Blues value structure and precision, preferring thoughtful planning over impulsive action. Their focus on quality and consistency makes them reliable problem solvers and careful decision makers. Of course, these are just the primary 4 color types. There are 4 more types that combine certain colors with each other, but that's not necessary to understand for the purpose of this video. However, if you're interested in learning more about color personality with Kathleen, you can check out her YouTube channel here. Traditionally, the introverted colors are blue and green, while the extroverted colors are red and yellow. There isn't really a lot of leeway when it comes to introversion and extroversion in this typing system, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of any personality typing system that includes this trait, because it alone can cause people, like myself, to be mistyped. Also, it's difficult to categorize all of humanity into a measly 4 boxes. This is part of why I prefer the Enneagram, as 9 categories adds a lot more room for accuracy. And introversion or extroversion are not included in typing. When I was in my teens, my family and I took the color personality test together, and I typed as an introverted blue. However, when I took it again as a married adult, I typed halfway between blue and an extroverted yellow, which surprised me, obviously. They're like literal opposites of each other. Since those are complementary colors in color personality, there isn't even a subtype for blue and yellow, meaning my personality type didn't exist. This befuddled both me and my group. Befuddled. That's a really good word, guys. You should use that word more often. Befuddled. The typical extroverted yellow who is socially adept and popular seemed like the last color I'd ever type as. But I couldn't deny that there were definitely aspects of the yellow that really spoke to me. I seemed to be either an extroverted blue or a shy yellow. As my husband and I worked through the intricacies of blues and yellows, we decided that while there are a lot of aspects of blue that I relate with, yellow is my primary, with an autistic twist. It was as if autism had manifested blue, introvert-coded personality traits into me, without actually changing my extroverted core and needs. I wouldn't be surprised if most autistic people were blue, because most of the characteristics of blues are also common autistic strengths. Blues are analytical, detail-oriented, reserved, and methodical. They are planners who prefer structure and often produce high-quality work because they are usually experts in their chosen fields. Sound familiar, anyone? No? Take a look in the mirror. No, I'm just kidding. That was really aggressive. I checked all of these boxes, but the needs of the blue, safety, support, sensitivity, and space and silence, didn't match me as well as the needs of a yellow. Acceptance, attention, approval, and affection. The first 3 needs of a blue were on point, but the 4th need, space and silence, which is how blues literally recharge, was the opposite of me. Much like a yellow, the first thing I would do after work is walk up to my husband and say, "What do you want to do?" I don't actually want to be alone. Environmental peace and quiet is golden, but I crave connection over alone time. I recharge by spending time with my best friend. This is precisely why I'm not a big fan of personality typing systems that depend on whether someone is introverted or extroverted, without even acknowledging why they behave that way in the first place. Myers-Briggs, I'm calling you out. It puts all the shy, more reserved people in one box, and all the bubbly social butterflies in another box. And of course, you can't be in both boxes. The point of this video is not to discuss why color personality isn't my favorite typing system, though I think I already clarified why it isn't. But I do think it's important to mention because there is more to a person than introversion and extroversion. As I stated earlier, almost everyone is a mix of both, an ambivert. So, what does an extroverted autistic person look like? Maybe I should make a list. Number 1. Behaves like a blue, but has yellow needs. If you took the color personality test as an autistic person and typed as a blue, but it doesn't quite hit the nail on the head because the heart of a yellow really resonates with you too, you are probably extroverted. I grew up in a family of blues and greens, very introverted, introspective people. I often stuck out like a sore thumb because I enjoyed going out with whoever I was friends with at the time. In an effort to fit in with my family, I probably adopted more of a blue mask. Number 2. Drained by masking, not people. Extroverted autistic people crave connection with others, but they may not socialize often because of how exhausting masking is. It's not necessarily the people themselves that drain an autistic extrovert. It's the effort of masking their autistic traits that makes socializing so taxing. It's a good line, you guys should write that down. You should write it down, it's good. I am not recharged by going to parties or hanging out with people in general. Rather, I crave close connection with one or two safe people. What determines a person's safeness is how unmasked I am comfortable being around them. My husband is a perfect example of a safe person. He is always encouraging me to be myself, and he doesn't make me feel like my autistic traits are bothersome. In fact, he embraces the majority of them and works with me when some of them cause issues. Number 3. Still struggles socially and may experience burnout. Something people may not understand about autistic extroverts is that they still struggle socially. They wouldn't be autistic if they didn't. If you have issues with that statement, take it up with the DSM-5 criteria for ASD, not me. Criteria A discusses the social issues autistic people struggle with, and all 3 points are required if someone is to be diagnosed with autism. While autistic people in general struggle socially, extroverted autistic people may be better at masking it due to being more socially motivated. However, masking is not a good thing. It has detrimental effects on an autistic person over time, leading to anxiety, depression, meltdowns, shutdowns, autistic rage, or burnout. My, what a fun list. Extroverted autistic people might even be more inclined to struggle with those things, as they have a deep need to be a part of a community, but they struggle with the social complexities that come with that. I experienced a combination of intense anxiety and autistic burnout in 2021, and part of what caused it was the fact that I lived in a dorm away from my safe people for a whole year. During quarantine, I might add. Not only did that make it impossible to make friends, but as you well know, autistic people aren't the most socially adept, and I definitely struggled to do that. I called my parents every day, but I wasn't around them enough to truly feel safe being myself. By the time summer rolled around, I was dying to go home and exhausted, building into the autistic burnout that eventually pulled me out of college. Number 4. More likely to struggle with people-pleasing. This one's pretty simple. Extroverted autistic people are more likely to struggle with this compared to introverted autistic people because, again, they are more socially motivated. Number 5. External processor. Extroverted autistic people tend to have, how do I put this? Rather intense facial expressions. Animated gestures and/or a loud, energetic voice. They come across to others as too intense or too much, especially when talking about their special interests. Sound familiar? Anyone?
Bueller.
Similarly to how they might have a more expressive or intense style of physically communicating, extroverted autistic people are also more likely to be verbal processors. Rather than process their world internally like most introverts, they process it externally, whether that's through animated expressions or talking about their life. Number 6. Enjoys select group settings. Unlike most introverted autistic people, extroverted autistic people tend to enjoy certain group settings, like parties, small groups, performances, or community events. About every other year, I choose to celebrate my birthday with a group of peers. This year, it was masquerade themed, and it was fun. I was exhausted afterwards, of course, but there was a lot of laughter. Additionally, one of my old churches used to put on plays around Christmas time. It took me a few years to actually build up to having lines, but eventually I was singing. And I really enjoyed being a part of theatrical production. It's so much fun to work as a team and eventually perform in front of an audience together. I would also be down to go to a concert, as long as I'm really into the songs. Of course, duh. Number 7. Focused more on relational peace. While introverted autistic people tend to be more focused on finding peace within themselves, extroverted autistic people are more concerned with finding peace in their relationships. It's very important for them to understand how they fit into each of the important relationships in their life. This helps provide expectations for how they should interact in the context of each relationship, which brings them peace. Autistic extroverts might also struggle with adapting to relational changes, because this is where their energy is focused. And my oh my, do I relate with that. It's kind of weird how upset I get when somebody, for example, changes what their favorite Christmas movie is. Talking to you, Dad! You change your favorite Christmas movie, and then suddenly I don't even know who you are anymore. This is very upsetting. Number 8. May hold higher expectations for their relationships. This is one of the more interesting things I discovered about extroverted autistic people versus introverted autistic people. When conflict happens, they are more prone to actively try and make the situation better. Autistic introverts, on the other hand, might not play such an active role in their relationships because they spend so much time away from their loved ones recharging. Because of this, autistic extroverts can be great accountability partners, as they are more likely to notice and point out something they know is harming you. Well, that'd be me. Yeah. Don't know what's more relatable than that point, honestly. And that wraps up our list for today for autistic extroverts. So what do you think? Are you an autistic extrovert? If so, let me know in the comments section down below how being extroverted affects your life. Or if you know an autistic extrovert, what traits have you noticed about them? And if you enjoyed this video and you want to become a mushroom among wildflowers, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Or my blog. And I don't know why I'm suddenly Russian, but that is what we're doing today, so I will see you in the next one.